Welcome back. With me right now is another fine instructor with the Emeritus Institute. And Cheryl, you teach something very unique, jewelry metal fabrication. You also do art media studies, but we're mainly talking about that today. Welcome.
Thank you.
So tell me about, I know jewelry making, I know metal fabrication, but this is a combination of both.
Right. Well, I have a metal sculpture background. I usually work larger, much larger,
Okay.
but brought it into jewelry fabrication. So I really come from a much more creative angle than a lot of the teachers do. I'm really into the texturing of metals, and soldering is super important to jewelry artists, but mostly we think of bezels, like just a stone.
Right.
I'm into working with found objects a
Okay.
lot, and also one of my specialties and favorites is etching metal etching. We have a galvanic etching set up in the classroom, so we can put in amazing detail that eats into the metal.
Yeah, that is just incredible. And I guess you bring up a very good point that in jewelry making, you're always working with metal.
Right.
Of some sort.
Usually, yeah.
But this is something that to me is very unique. How did you get into this? As far as, did you start with jewelry first or metal first?
I actually started in the metal department at Long Beach State. My first semester, the first thing they did was introduce us to metal etching and the hydraulic press, which are now two of my absolute favorite things. And I have a graphic design background, so the idea of being able to put a graphic, any image, it's basically you work with anything that's black and white image can be etched in a metal. And it was so magical. I felt like I'd gone to Las Vegas and won the jackpot.
So is that like an acid process?
Yeah, it's a resist and a eating away. What we don't use really an acid, it's called galvanic etching. It's an electrolytic process. So we've got actually a car battery with a positive and negative.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's not as corrosive as acid.
Yeah.
And so it's safe to use in the classroom.
Okay. Now, this, of course, this piece here, I'm going to turn this just a little bit so maybe we can take a look at that. This looks to combine many different techniques.
It does. It has a hinge on it.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to Cheryl, this looks like something you'd see in steampunk kind of things.
Correct.
Or it looks like something you'd see in a Marvel movie or something.
Right. Yeah. God, I really love to get discovered by movie makers so I could do props for them. But again, this is a prime example of the textures that you can get. This is actually rolling mill. So we can actually feed metal into a rolling mill with a texture and have that imprint. But this eyeglasses part is definitely a great example of etched nickel. Nickel etches beautifully.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a difficult metal to work with, except I forgive it because it etches so beautifully. But then I also have piercing here, so I teach a lot of
I'm going to turn it so they
sawing skills. Yeah.
There we go, so they can see that. Now,
that looks great.
how did you get the letters in there?
I sawed them. So I actually draw them on the mill and saw. And actually, it's sawing. Once you get the skill, I mean, I want my students to really enjoy sawing. It actually should be a very zen experience, but it probably took me 20 minutes to saw that out.
Hand sawing? Like with a
jeweler's saw.
Okay, all right. So I was going to say similar on woodwork, a coping saw type
Well,
of thing,
you know what? I do a lot of woodworking too, but the jeweler's saw is so much more precise. I use it on wood a lot.
Okay.
I use it on plexiglass. It's just an awesome tool. So
is it electric?
No.
Okay.
Well, they make one now, but don't get one.
It's
do it
better
by hand.
to do it yourself.
Yeah. But I use it. I tell my students, be sure it's $15.
That's
buy
good
one.
to know.
And I can do so many things with it. Yeah. It's
that
a
is
wonderful
really
tool.
good. So just online look for a jeweler.
Online, yeah, and then there's actually a great tool guide resource that we have.
My father-in-law does a lot of woodwork. He does a little bit of metal, but mostly woodwork, and that he probably has one, knowing him. But I'll let him know. About
yeah, you should let him know because it's really when you do
Show
precision.
me some of these tools that you have.
Yeah. So what is really fun is I get a lot of students that have never done metal work before, and amazingly enough, they usually find out most of us are latent tool junkies. We love tools, and once you see the tools, you want all of them. But Fretz hammers came out with these sculptural beauties, And so
nice
the first one that I bought was like,
that's
I'm going to wear it.
That's a work of art.
It is.
On its
They're
own.
absolutely
Wow.
gorgeous. Then NC Black also
beautiful.
has their sets. And so there are like a gazillion different hammers for a gazillion
Look
different
at that.
reasons.
I don't know if you can notice just the woods on this. Is this
Aren't they beautiful?
rosewood or cherry? Or?
I'm pretty sure it's cherry. And I think
Wow.
these are probably rosewood.
Yeah, those look like rosewood. These are, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but these alone are just beautiful.
Aren't they gorgeous?
Yeah. And they feel good in your hand. You
They
want
do.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely want that.
Yeah, so.
Beautiful. So these are used obviously to, almost like an old style ball peen hammer to kind of knock out.
Well, actually the sign of a good jeweler is you'll invent tools for your needs instead of.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
Fretz actually has come up with like this huge line of all these different hammers. And you don't really usually want to go grind them down, but you actually can grind your hammers down to get it to do what you need it to do. So what we do is, there's a guy called the Tool Man that we use a lot, and he sells a lot of hammers that are around $5 to $10, and we alter them as we need them on the grinder.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, and so it's not a huge expense. They're not beautiful like this, but these, you got to have a couple of these because they're gorgeous. But I wanted you to see how gorgeous tools are now.
Now, beyond your teaching here with Emeritus, do you teach elsewhere, or do you display your works like at any art festivals?
You know, I have a line of bird art. Actually, I have a piece in the faculty show right now at Saddleback.
Okay.
I actually have 2 jobs right now. I also do signs for Trader Joe's in San Clemente.
Oh,
So
I love the signs at Trader Joe's.
Yeah. I'm a busy girl, so I don't have that much time, but I keep trying to fit it in. I kind of do a couple birds a year.
Yeah, well, it's beautiful work. Now, the classes, you're right in the middle of them, being that you're in the spring
We're almost
semester?
halfway through, yeah.
Okay. So if people want to sign up for this, are you going to do the summer?
I think I've got 5 classes this summer.
Right. Yeah. So it's called Intermediate Jewelry Metal Fabrication. It's within the Art Media Studies program, so you can find it that way. I don't want to give you the number because it might change for summer, right?
Correct.
Yeah, sometimes that does.
Yeah, but art media is not metal. So,
okay.
Right? Art media is actually, it's kind of a really wide open description where we actually explore a lot of art supplies and
I thought
materials.
art media was
different.
was in that department.
Okay. The way I've been teaching, and everybody can kind of teach it the way they want, is I start off with kind of teaching collage techniques and some painting. We mostly work with acrylic paint. And then I have a book making background too, so I have a lot of students that are interested in making books. Some students come in not interested in making books and they end up loving it, fortunately. It's really fun.
It is such a cool thing to watch, and I've seen that being done in Colonial Williamsburg.
Oh yeah.
And watch that being done, and they print the the covers of the books, or the interiors, I don't know what you call them, but you open up the leather and it's got a beautiful little pattern and all. So to watch it, how it was made 300-400 years ago by hand,
very cool.
It's very cool. Yeah.
Well, actually, the one where you stitch the little packets together, that's called Coptic stitch. I had a lot of students going, I never want to touch a needle again, so it didn't go over very well. But there are a lot of books that you don't have to use a needle and do the sewing.
It's
However,
neat to watch.
The Coptic stitch books are beautiful.
Well, your classes are going to be starting up again on summer. Remember, you can go online to saddleback.edu/emeritus and find out the classes. I'm not sure, do they list the summer ones yet? Or in April, I think they begin.
I think it's coming out pretty soon.
Okay, yeah, it's usually towards the end of March, beginning of April, you start to see those classes, and then sign-ups, I think, are usually in April, if I'm not mistaken, towards the end. But you can find out about that. Get into this. I mean, this is totally different things, fun stuff. You never know where it's going to take you, and if anything, you can buy yourself a nice, cool little hammer and just put that up on the wall, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
All right, Cheryl, pleasure to meet you.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much, and we'll be right back.